Hi guys, it's Ben Heath from Lead Guru, and in this video, I'm going to explain the 11 Facebook campaign objectives. Facebook campaign objectives are incredibly important. It's probably the single most important setting you need to get right if you want to generate the best possible results with Facebook ads. So I'm going to explain what they are in this video, which ones you want to use, and I think you're going to find it really, really useful. Before I get into it, just want to very quickly ask you to hit that like button. That really helps me out and is much appreciated. And of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new and haven't done so already. I release Facebook advertising related content all the time. If that's something that's important to your business, I'd strongly recommend you subscribe. I think it's really going to help you out. Okay, so I'm in an example Facebook ad account here, and I'm going to go ahead and bring up the campaign objectives. So let's click on this green create button. You can see that literally the first thing that Facebook asks you to select, obviously after buying type, which I'll have another video about in case you're interested, is campaign objectives. Now, Facebook split the campaign objectives up into three sections: awareness, consideration, conversions, and we're going to talk through them. And the first thing I need to talk about is what campaign objective actually means. Like, what are we referring to here? When you select a campaign objective, you are effectively telling Facebook what you want. Now, because Facebook's machine learning and automatic optimization process is such a huge part of Facebook advertising, telling Facebook what you want and being very specific can make an enormous difference. For example, and we're going to get into these in more detail, but this is the best stat I've got on to demonstrate what I'm talking about here. If you want people to convert on your website, let's say purchase a product, let's say you've got a Shopify store, for example, and you want people to purchase a product. If you use the traffic objective or you use the conversions objective and you test both of those alongside each other, you spend exactly the same amount of money, use the same targeting options, same budgets, same ads, all that sort of stuff. The conversions objective will deliver on average 74% more conversions than the traffic objective. Because what you're really after there is conversions, it's purchases, right? Even though traffic, of course, is trying to send people through to your website. The conversions objective does 74% better results, which is obviously not a small amount. That's absolutely massive. So by selecting the right campaign objective, you really are setting yourself up for success massively. And if you select the wrong campaign objective, you're in a lot of trouble. So let's go through them, because there's ones you want to use and ones you don't want to use, and also specific scenarios in which you want to use them. Okay, so let's start with awareness, brand awareness. What does brand awareness do? Brand awareness puts your ads in front of people that are most likely to recall that they saw your ad. How Facebook works that out, we're not exactly sure. We think they're using things like linger time, engagement, obviously. Brand awareness, from what I've seen, is best for businesses with larger budgets that aren't necessarily after an immediate return on their ad spend, but literally want to get their brand out there. They want to try and make their brand synonymous with whatever it is they're advertising. Brand awareness can be used a lot in the way that, say, TV advertising is. You'll see like brands like Coca-Cola, for example, advertising. They want you to think of their brand when you think of a soft drink, often. Okay, that's what brand awareness is typically for. So I'd recommend that for business with really large budgets, and you're like, we have access to external funding, or we have deep pockets and we can afford to not generate customers from this advertising exercise. What we want to do is condition our target market to think, okay, when they think of, whatever it happens to be, Coca-Cola is a good example, but if when they think of running shoes, they think Nike. There's loads of brand examples where you think of a product category and you automatically think of a specific example. In the UK, for example, when they think of a vacuum cleaner, they think Dyson. There's lots of examples where you just immediately, there's like a brand that you will think of first often. And that's what brand awareness is for. Reach is slightly different. Reach is designed to put your ads in front of as many people as possible for your budget. Now, what that can sometimes mean is that Facebook's going to find the cheapest people to advertise to. Obviously, within any target market, there's going to be people that are more sought after by advertisers and people that are less expensive to advertise to. So these are often people that are less likely to convert, let's say. So that might seem like an option you wouldn't want to use often, and we don't often use it. When would you use reach? If you're using an omnipresence content campaign, I've got more details about that. I'll include a link in the video description below. It's the long-term strategy videos, omnipresence content. We use reach. If you're a local business and you just want to reach everyone within your area, again, sometimes we will use reach. It's often when we've got a small group of people that we've decided we want to advertise to again and again and again. which is why omnipresence content, long-term strategies where you're putting lots of different ads in front of the same people over a 6-month, 12-month period to try and get them to the point where they're going to convert and buy your $10,000 coaching program or hire you for your $50,000 service, something along those lines is what we typically use reach for. It's where you've got a small group of people you can advertise to again and again, because you don't have to worry so much about the fact that Facebook's going to find perhaps the cheaper people to advertise to, the ones that are less likely to convert, because you've really defined the targeting criteria anyway, okay? So those are the 2 awareness objectives, and those are the times where we'd use those. We won't use them, by the way, if I don't mention something, we wouldn't use them for that, okay? So for example, a lot of people want to use reach for general retargeting campaigns when they're trying to generate leads or purchase via their website. No, you're better off using conversions, okay? If I don't mention it, we basically don't do it. Traffic we would typically use where that is your end objective. So let's say, for example, you're advertising a blog post and you want people to read the blog post because you know that some point down the line that helps you build your brand, gets the message out there, perhaps about a new technology or a new thing you've developed. Fantastic. Then we use traffic. We'd also use traffic if we can't track the next step we want people to take. So let's say we were sending people to an Amazon store. Okay, we can't track conversions. We can't install the Facebook pixel. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and use traffic. We might use it, again, Amazon's a good example. There are also other places where you can't track the next step people take. You know, if you're sending people to Spotify, for example, you can use traffic. Engagement. Now, we rarely use engagement. People used to use engagement because they wanted, in fact, I'll click into this because there's a few different options. There's post engagement, there's page likes and event responses. Post engagement we rarely use. With post engagement, Facebook is going to try and get your ads in front of people that are likely to comment, react, share. The issue that we've seen, particularly over the last few years, is that Facebook has worked out that negative engagement is engagement. And when you use the campaign objective engagement and go for engagement, Facebook is just as likely to get you negative engagement as they are positive engagement. So we're seeing with the engagement objective a lot of negative reactions, negative comments coming through, and Facebook's not differentiating between the 2. So we would rarely use post engagement. There's lots of people talk about using it to generate social proof first, likes, comments, shares, and then use it in your conversion campaigns because that social proof will help you convert. Can do, provided you're not getting the negative feedback and negative engagement coming through, which is quite likely from what we've seen. So that's something to really be aware of. You don't want to be generating a whole load of negative post engagement, which is why we rarely use it. Page like campaigns, we will use that. We'll use that campaign objective if we're trying to generate page likes. I'll include a link in the video description below to a video all about how we go about building a Facebook page, how we prime it, how we generate a bunch of page likes, establish credibility. And then of course, event responses. If you are advertising an event on Facebook, then you can of course use event responses. That will be the time when you want to use that. Okay, app installs, pretty straightforward. If you're looking to generate people, generate app installs. So let's say you have an app on, say, the App Store or Google Play Store. You know, you would use the app installs objective, and then what would happen is people, when someone clicks on your ad, they'll go straight through to where they can download your app, let's say on the App Store, and then you're able to track that. You know, there are iOS 14 considerations here, but you are able to track that for the most part, the actions that people take. Okay, video views. Again, we would use video views when the end objective is watching a video. A lot of people will run, say, video ads, and they want people to go on to convert. Like they want people to watch the video ad and then convert on their website, or then send them a message, for example. In that case, no, we would not use video views. We use it where that's the end objective. If you were advertising like a mini documentary, for example, and wanting to just quite literally get as many eyeballs on it as possible, then we'd look to use video views, okay? Lead generation. Lead generation is a way of generating leads where people are kept on Facebook or Instagram. So when someone, for example, sees your ad and they click on it, they click on the call to action button, instead of being sent to your website, which would be the sort of standard Facebook ad approach, they are instead presented with a lead form, and they could submit, say, their name, email address, whatever information it is you're asking for. They can become a lead, and then you can follow up with those people. Lead generation, in comparison to, say, a conversions campaign that generates leads via your website, often generates a lower cost per lead, which is great, but those leads tend to be lower quality. So if we're working with a business that wants to generate leads, we will often test lead generation, and we will test conversions, and we will try to work out which one's the better option. Should we generate leads on Facebook, which are probably cheaper, or should we look to generate leads via your website, which may be higher quality? That's the trade-off, okay? I've got, again, videos about a ton of these, by the way. So you just search for my name in YouTube, search for my name, Ben Heath, in YouTube, alongside, say, lead generation or lead ads, as they're often called, and you'll see a video pop up. I'll also include a link in the video description to a tutorial exactly how to create lead generation campaigns and all that sort of stuff. Messages. Now, if you don't have a website, for example, messages could be a great next step. Okay. Again, typically done with lead-based businesses. You can do it with some like e-commerce companies that will have messenger sequences and things like that, but we tend to find conversions delivers a better result. But messages would be particularly used if you don't have a website, or your website's perhaps not up to scratch and you want to keep people on platform. And it's often an alternative to, say, lead generation. We tend to find that different markets prefer using Messenger, or you can see below there, you can use WhatsApp and things like that instead. So again, it's often one we would test. If there's a business that we think would work quite well with messages, quite well with lead generation, and that's our end objective. We're going to advertise and we want you to send our Facebook page a message, or send us a message on Instagram. That's where we're going to use messages, and we're going to try, obviously, from that point to progress people through the sales funnel. Conversions. Now, that's really the big one. I would say 90+% of the campaigns we run are conversions. You do need to have the Facebook pixel installed to be able to run conversions. I'll include a link in the video description below showing you exactly how to set up and install the Facebook pixel in case you're not familiar. But with conversions, you are telling Facebook usually exactly what you want. You are telling them, Facebook, this is what a purchase looks like on my store. Please go ahead and get me purchases. I want as many purchases as possible. Or Facebook, this is what a lead looks like on my website. Please go out and get me those. Or I'm running a webinar sales funnel. I want webinar registrations. This is what a webinar registration looks for. Please get me those. And because Facebook's optimization and machine learning process is so powerful, conversions often delivers the best results. If conversions is what you want, go for conversions. Now, people often say, yeah, but I'm not generating enough conversions to get out of the learning phase. I'm going to be stuck in learning limited. I don't generate the 50+ conversions per week that Facebook often wants. And my counter to that will be a partially optimized conversions campaign will perform better than a fully optimized traffic campaign or a video views campaign. They're the two that people often go for. Sometimes they go for reach as well, but people often say, I don't generate enough conversions to use conversions to give Facebook enough data to be able to optimize. Therefore, I just need to go for traffic, send lots of people to my website and hope they convert. No, that's not the best approach. If you're generating 10, 15 conversions per week, then go with conversions. Because remember, 74% on average is the difference. 74% more results with conversions. So even if you've got a partially optimized conversion campaign, it's still going to do better. It might be 40% more conversions or 35% more conversions than a traffic campaign with all the same, ads, targeting options, things like that. That is better. That is worth happening. We've tested this a whole bunch. Go with conversions. Okay, and that's going to be, as I said, 90% probably of the campaigns we run are conversions. Catalog sales operates quite similarly to conversions, to be fair. It's one of the other campaign objectives that I sort of place within the conversions in my mind, even though it is different. But catalog sales, if you've got a catalog, you've got a range of products, let's say via a Shopify store would be the most common, but any of the major e-commerce platforms. And with catalog sales, what you're able to do, one of the big differentiators from conversions, is you can bring in some really nice dynamic elements. So let's say you wanted to retarget people based on the product they viewed. Well, you could do that through catalog sales. Or let's say you wanted to advertise a massive range of products. You don't want to have to create individual ads for each. You could do that with catalog sales. So if you've got a catalog, typically set up in an e-commerce store like Shopify or something like that, then this can work really, really well. Okay, this can work. Catalog sales can perform really well because you've got the dynamic element. So you might have different people being advertised different products, which would be tailored either based on the activity that they've already done, say they visited your website and you're retargeting them with that product they looked at, or even just based on their interest in their activity. Could be done to cold audiences as well. So definitely something to test and something to use quite a lot. And then store traffic, not something we typically use very often. It's designed to get people into a physical store location, very difficult for Facebook to track. With businesses like that have local areas and they want to get people in locally, we're more likely to use the reach objective than store traffic. But if you wanted to have a play and you meet that criteria, you have a local store, you want to get people in, then you can go about and have a play. Okay, so that's an overview of all the campaign objectives. Hopefully that's given you some great information. You know to rarely use things like engagement, rarely use things like store traffic, and then the other ones have their specific uses, but just make sure that when you're using them is the appropriate time. Don't go ahead and use traffic if you can track conversions and you want conversions. Don't use video views just because you're running a video ad. If it's a video ad and you want purchases or leads, go ahead and use conversions if you can track it. Don't use brand awareness unless you've got massive budgets. Reach is great for specific scenarios, but not all. So hopefully that's been useful. You can go ahead now and use the right campaign objectives and get better results. Before you go, a couple of things I want to mention. The first is our done-for-you Facebook advertising services. So if you're trying to work out how to get fantastic Facebook and Instagram ad results yourself, you may well be better off working with a professional agency. My company, Lead Guru, does exactly that. We create, manage, and optimize Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns for our clients. We can handle everything from graphic design in terms of getting like images created or video editing. If you've got video content, we can write the copy, we can put the ads together, we'll do the audience research, we'll handle all your Facebook and Instagram advertising. We do require that you have a 3K per month minimum budget, but if you meet that criteria, you can book a free call with one of my team members. Just click on the link in the video description below. Lots of links down there, but you can work it, everything's all labeled, so you can work it all out, where you can just click through, book a slot into the calendar on our website. Super simple to do, no obligation. You can just find out more about our services, about how we charge and how we work. We can find out more about your business. It's a very good chance we've worked with a business like yours in the past or are currently, and can use some of the learnings to help you get the best results possible. We've run just about every campaigns just about for every single type of business and every single type of industry you can imagine. I mean, yeah, there's probably an over-exaggeration, but we've run literally hundreds, if not thousands of campaigns for various clients, spend millions all the time. So we might be able to help you get much better results is what I'm saying. Might be well worth at least a call. Other thing I want to mention is my Facebook Ads Mastermind group. So free Facebook group. There's 125,000 members as of the recording this video, one of the biggest communities of Facebook advertisers in the world. So if you are committed to DIYing your Facebook ads and want to learn from other people, I'm in there. It's my group, right? So I'm in there all the time. I do free live trainings. I leave comments and post content in there, and I get involved. So if that sounds like something you want to be part of, completely free to join. Go ahead, again, link in the video description. Go ahead and join. We'd love to have you. And yeah, as I said, if that video's been useful, thumbs up. Please click that like button, helps me out. Please subscribe. It really helps me out when you subscribe. And if you enjoyed this free content, found it valuable, that helps me out. Also, make sure that you see my future content. There's changes happen to Facebook advertising all the time. You don't want to be using an approach that used to work, that is out of date, just because you missed one of my videos telling you, don't do this anymore, do this instead. I release those all the time. So go ahead and subscribe and comment below. Comment below if you've got any questions. Comment below to let me know what you think. And yeah, I will talk to you soon. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye for now.